Welcome to the Getting Through Today podcast. I'm Brita. Come along with me as I share my story of the ups and downs through chronic illness and depression, all while being a mother of 5. I know healing is possible, and through every phase there is beauty, even if we don't always see it at the time. I know what it feels like to just get through one day at a time. Let's get started. Hi, beautiful warriors, and welcome back to Getting Through Today. I'm your host, Brita, and I'm so grateful you're here. Today, we're talking about fresh starts and self-care strategies for new beginnings. This is something so close to my heart because I've been in places where I needed a complete reset, physically, emotionally, and even mentally. And I've learned that sometimes a fresh start doesn't mean a total overhaul of your whole life. It can begin with just the smallest shifts in how we care for ourselves. Before we dive into today's strategies, I want to share a little personal story about how my shift program came to be. It wasn't just an idea. It was actually made from one of the most challenging periods of my life, and became a path not only for my healing, but for helping others too. There was a time when I was so sick, so depressed, that even getting out of bed just felt impossible. And I spent years in that space, physically broken, mentally exhausted, and emotionally drained. I felt lost. And I didn't know how to help myself, let alone imagine anything beyond surviving just one day at a time. But as I continued on in my journey and I continued to want to find things to help me, there was something that shifted. And really, my shift wasn't dramatic or sudden even. It just was a series of tiny intentional steps. And I kept wondering if the things that had really helped me, had I started with those, would I have not had to suffer so much? But then I just have to accept that this is my journey, and each treatment, each modality, each thing I tried was just the step I needed to take on my healing journey. And I don't know why it took so long. Maybe I'm just stubborn. But I did find things that helped. And slowly and gradually, I got my life back. Yes, I exhausted the medical field. And I found many modalities that helped me. And as I climbed out of the darkness, I started to focus on small things that I could control, like how I talked to myself, or even just finding one thing to be grateful for. But it was interesting, when I was in those spaces where I was not mentally well, people would say, oh, just go outside or be grateful for things. And honestly, it would make me so mad because I was trying to be grateful. I was grateful for the life I had. It didn't make sense that I was so depressed and sad because I really felt like I was living the life I wanted. My body had just betrayed me. So I understand that if you hear some of these things and it triggers you or frustrates you, it's okay. That's normal. I'm not sitting here telling you there's this simple fix for what you're going through. I know that it can be really hard, but I also know that there are things you can do right here, right now, to help yourself. And slowly, as I started to feel like I could breathe again, like I could hope again, I realized each step had added up. And as I healed, I looked back at who I was during that time, that dark, that hopeless time, and I kept asking myself this question: what could have helped me back then? What tools or support would have made the journey a little lighter? And at first, I didn't know. At first, I thought there was nothing that could have helped me because I felt like I had tried everything. That's when the idea for the SHIFT program was born. Now, don't worry, shift is not about fixing everything overnight. It's just about creating a foundation for change, one step at a time. It's a program designed to help people see what they're thinking, honor their feelings, and start reframing their life. And ultimately, it's about giving yourself permission to reset no matter where you are. Now, each letter in SHIFT represents an important step in the process. S, see yourself clearly. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. The first step is understanding where you are and what's holding you back. Think about it. How often do we really stop to reflect on what we value or what we need? For example, if I asked 5 people what makes a great friend, I'd get 5 completely different answers. That's because we all value different qualities, and until we know what those are, it's hard to find what we're looking for. The same goes for seeing yourself clearly. You need to take a moment to ask, what do I need? What's important to me? It's not always easy, but it is the first step toward real change. H, honor your feelings. This one is huge. Give yourself permission to feel, whether it's anger, sadness, or even joy. Every emotion has a purpose. I'll admit, I was not always good at this. For years, I thought showing emotion, especially crying, was a sign of weakness. I wanted to be tough for my kids and my friends. So I'd put on a happy face during the day, and then honestly, I would fall apart at night. Looking back, I wonder how much easier things would have been if I just would have allowed myself to process my emotions instead of burying them or being embarrassed by them. And here's what I've learned. You can't heal if you don't feel. Every emotion you experience is valid, and there are healthy ways to process them so they don't weigh you down. Intentions are important. I would say that intentions are the foundation for healing. Setting clear intentions helps you focus your energy on what truly matters in your life. At my sickest, I struggled to set goals because I knew I wouldn't feel well enough to reach them. I'd make plans that were completely unrealistic for my situation, and when I couldn't achieve them, I'd feel worse. It wasn't until I started setting small, attainable goals like getting out of bed and walking to the front door for some fresh air, or just drinking more water for the day. That's when I started to feel like I was making progress. I let go of the pressure I was putting on myself to do all of these things my body couldn't do at the moment, but there was plenty I could do. Now, intentions don't have to be these huge things that are impossible to reach. They just have to reflect where you are and what you need right now. Remember, small steps lead to big changes. F, find healing tools. Listen, healing is not one size fits all. Honestly, I wish it was. But it is about finding tools and practices that resonate with you and things that help you. Have you ever tried something like a hyperbaric oxygen chamber or ketamine therapy? These treatments have scientific evidence backing their benefits, but they're not always easy to access or maybe even on your radar. I've tried both of these, and they both helped me and supported me so much. Maybe go read about them and see if the benefits can help support you as well. The truth is, there are so many healing options out there. And I know it can feel overwhelming to sort through them all. And I know how discouraging it can be when you are tired of trying new things or when your resources feel limited. But don't give up. Keep seeking things. Keep searching for what works for you. Because I promise finding the right tools is worth it. And if you're feeling stuck, reach out. I understand that dark place, and you don't have to face it alone. T, trust the process. Healing takes time, and trust is often one of the hardest parts of the journey. Let me ask you, do you trust yourself? For me, this was a tough question to answer. I used to second-guess myself all the time. After doctor visits, after conversations with friends, even after making decisions I thought were right in the moment. But the truth is, even well-meaning people don't always know what's best for you. You have to figure that out. And this is why I'm sharing my story, because I'm sharing what has helped me. But I love hearing what has helped someone else, because we're in this together. So here's what I want you to remember. You are the expert on your body and your life. No one else lives in your body. No one else feels your pain or knows your instincts like you do. It is so important to be your own advocate. Of course, get support when you need it, whether it's from friends, family, or a healthcare professional. But ultimately, trust your instincts. If a treatment or suggestion just does not feel right, it's okay to say no. Trusting the process also means trusting yourself and the steps you're taking, even if progress feels slow or uncertain. And of course, listen to your doctors, listen to their advice, and do what's best, because sometimes they do know what's best for you. So this is not to replace any medical advice. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying trust yourself. If something feels off, trust that. And I know there are days when being your own advocate feels exhausting. And that's when having a trusted support team can make all the difference. Surround yourself with people who will stand up for you when you're just too tired to fight. But even then, remember, you are the only one who truly knows how you feel. Just trust that you have the strength to find answers, to seek solutions, and to keep going, even when the journey feels overwhelming. Believe in your ability to navigate the path one step at a time. You can do it. So shift isn't just about creating change. It's about being gentle with yourself along the way. It's about understanding where you are, embracing grace, and taking meaningful action toward the life you want. If you're feeling stuck or overwhelmed, remember, you don't have to do it all at once. Just start with one step, one shift, and trust that you're moving forward. I know the journey might not be easy, but it is worth it, and you are worth it. Fresh starts often begin with shaking up our routines. Sometimes just one small change can create a ripple effect that may inspire us to see things differently and feel more energized. Here are a few simple ways to start. Mornings set the tone for the day, so why not create a reset kit to help you begin with intention? This could include a journal, a favorite drink, an inspiring book, some good music. You have to figure out what that is for you. Having something tangible to reach for in the morning can remind you to slow down and start your day with purpose. Even if you only have 5 minutes, this small habit can shift your mindset and help you feel grounded and have a better day. And when life feels stagnant, stepping out of your comfort zone can reignite your sense of possibility. Maybe it's just trying a new recipe or rearranging your furniture. I rearrange my furniture a lot. That's one I love. Or trying a new hobby like painting or photography. Now remember, these things don't have to be big, and they don't have to be big commitments. Sometimes it's just trying that makes the difference. When I was younger, I used to draw a lot, and I don't know when I stopped drawing, probably college. But I've been thinking about drawing again. And so it's never too late to start up even an old hobby that you enjoyed in the past. Get creative and change up your routine a little bit. Our environment has a big impact on how we feel. Decluttering a single drawer or adding something uplifting like fresh flowers or a cozy blanket or even a framed quote can make your space feel like a sanctuary. I found that even small changes like rearranging my desk or lighting a candle, it just makes my room feel new and inviting. It's about creating a space that reflects the energy you want to bring into your life. I want to challenge you to pick one thing to shake up in your routine this week. Maybe it's setting up a reset kit for the morning, or trying something new, or reimagining your space. And I would love for you to share what you try with me on social media. I'd love to cheer you on. And sometimes the best way to move forward is to pause. Life can feel overwhelming, and in our rush to do it all, we often forget the power of rest. Giving yourself permission to pause is a huge act of self-care. Whatever you choose to do in your rest time, allow yourself to rest and recharge. It's important to have that as a daily practice as well. We cannot keep going and pushing ourselves to the limits all of the time. We need rest. Movement is one of the simplest and most effective ways to reset your mind and body. And it doesn't have to look like traditional exercise. It's about finding what feels good to you. There's something magical for me about being outdoors. I love being outside, but actually not right now because it's really cold. So I find that I'm inside a lot more during the winter. But when you're outside, even a 10-minute walk can completely shift my perspective, especially when I'm feeling stuck or overwhelmed. Even in the cold, I don't like to be out and very long, but I do love being outside. It makes me happy. Especially in the winter when I'm not going outside as much. One of the best things that I like to do is put on my favorite song and just dance like no one's watching, because no one's really watching. Actually, I do that when no one's watching. But I just go and I move my body and I dance, and it's so fun. And if I'm stressed out or just feeling kind of blah that day, that dance turns my mood around for sure, because I know how silly I'm being, and it's great. And if dancing is not your thing, try even just a simple stretching routine. You can roll your shoulders, reach for the sky, touch your toes. Even just 5 minutes can help release tension and reconnect you with your body. And some of us that maybe are not as mobile, stretching is a really great way to move your body. It's a very gentle, relaxing way to have intentional body movement. Just remember, fresh starts don't require perfection. Nothing requires perfection in what I'm doing. They just require self-compassion. And I think sometimes that's one of the most important lessons I've learned. And it's one I want to share with you, because when we're gentle with ourselves, then our days do go a lot smoother, because we're not putting all that pressure on ourselves. And maybe at the end of each day, write down 3 things you did well, no matter how small they seem. Maybe it's just getting out of bed. That was a huge win for me for a lot of years. Or even sending an email to someone, just letting them know you're thinking about them, or a text, or just smiling at someone. I know for me, celebrating small wins help me see progress even during my toughest days. It's a way to honor your efforts and keep going. It's easy to feel guilty for not doing enough or not being enough, but self-compassion means giving yourself grace. Remind yourself that it's okay to rest and that you're doing the best you can. Whenever I feel that guilt creeping in, I try to reframe it with kindness, saying something like, I'm human and I'm doing my best, and that's enough. Self-compassion allows you to reset with kindness instead of judgment. It really is the foundation for every fresh start, no matter how big or how small. Thank you for joining me today, beautiful warriors. We've covered a lot of ground, from shaking up your routines and giving yourself permission to pause, to embracing movement as a reset button, and practicing self-compassion as your superpower. And we talked about the SHIFT framework, a guide to help you create meaningful, lasting change in your life. Here's what I want you to take away. Fresh starts don't have to be perfect, and they don't have to happen all at once. Remember, it's about taking one step, one small, intentional shift that reminds you of your strength, your resilience, and your ability to grow. Whatever that step is for you, make sure and find a moment to pause and breathe. Whatever it is, trust that these small actions add up. And most importantly, be kind to yourself along the way. Healing, growth, and transformation is a journey. Trust the process, and remember that you're never alone on this path. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear about it. Share your thoughts, your small wins, or even your challenges with me on social media. Let's celebrate each other's progress, no matter how small or how big. As we close, I'll leave you with this reflection. What's one small step you can take today to honor yourself? Hold that thought close and let it guide you as you move forward. Thank you for being here, for showing up for yourself, and for being part of this beautiful community. You are stronger than you think, and you are so worthy of the life you're creating. Until next time, keep taking it one day, one breath, one step at a time. You've got this.